Hi there, welcome. This is the Kelly's Astrology podcast, where you can find insight, guidance, and understanding through astrology. I'm Kelly, and I'll be your host. Hi there, and welcome back for another show. In this episode, I'm going to take a look at some of the astrological themes for the week starting October 21. One theme that stood out for me this week was around a series of trine aspects that are going to be forming. Trine aspects offer connection and collaboration. And as two of these trine aspects are going to involve Saturn in Pisces, they also offer the potential for grounded long-term planning. Before I get into that, there are just a couple of weeks left to save on your astrology studies with a special bundle price. Sign up before November 6th to get the best price. If you're interested in meaning and purpose, and you want to explore the mystical threads that run through life, then you're ready to dive into the magical world of astrology. Pop over to kellysastrology.com to register today, or follow the link in the show notes below. And with that said, on to the show. So over this 3-day period from October 22nd to October 24, we're going to see 3 different trine aspects form. The trine aspect is considered the most beneficial and helpful type of aspect. Technically, it's an aspect formed between 2 planets that are 120 degrees apart. This means that planets create this aspect, the trine aspect, while they're placed in signs of the same element. In one of the original teaching charts on astrology, the Thema Mundi, the trine aspect is explained as being the aspect of the planet Jupiter. So the trine aspect itself is associated with the greater benefic planet, Jupiter. So in turn, this means that the trine aspect has the potential to be the most constructive, useful, or positive aspect. Now, of course, there's so much more to working with aspects than this, but it's a good place to start. One other important factor to consider when you're interpreting an aspect is the overall condition of the planets that will make or create the aspect. Now, that's probably beyond our conversation today, but I do cover more about interpreting aspects inside my astrology training program. So if that's something you want to get better at, I look forward to seeing you in class. So if we turn our attention to the trine aspects forming this week, there are 3 to talk about or briefly mention. 2 of this week's trine aspects involve planets that are in water signs. And that can be a general indication that these next few days can be a lovely time of finding support or of expressing your feelings. Maybe you're exploring emotional matters, or you could be enjoying connections that include that soulful level of feeling and support. The other trine aspect in these few days towards the end of October forms between 2 planets that are in earth signs. And since that earth sign trine happens first, if we look at things chronologically or in date order, that's where we will begin. So the first trine aspect is the earth trine, if you want to think of it that way. And it's from Venus in Virgo to Jupiter in Taurus. So Venus in Virgo, that's a planet in an earth sign. Jupiter in Taurus, that's another planet in another earth sign. And that Venus trine Jupiter aspect is strongest on Sunday, October 22nd in most locations. With both benefic planets involved, Venus and Jupiter, of course, being those helpful, life-affirming benefic planets, this is generally going to create a sweet, affectionate, or helpful quality. A trine between Venus and Jupiter would generally be considered a good or a nice aspect. That's obviously simplistic language, but it's enough to get us going for today. With the Venus trine Jupiter aspect forming across 2 earth signs, we're also getting this practical and grounded tone as well, like showing your affection or warmth for somebody else by doing something that's really useful or helping them out in a handy kind of way. Venus in Virgo is technically the fall placement for Venus. And so Venus in Virgo can show the process of making do with less than the ideal resources or tools. Venus in Virgo also has an overthinking, analytical, sometimes self-critical quality. So in this aspect, with Venus in Virgo in a trine to Jupiter in Taurus, Venus can really benefit from the support, the encouragement, or that sort of tendency towards optimism that Jupiter in Taurus can provide. So even though Venus is in maybe not technically ideal condition in Virgo, I still think that this is a generally hopeful and helpful trine aspect, with Venus and Jupiter here. It might be that a situation you're dealing with isn't fully resolved or sorted out, but you might get this sense of feeling supported or encouraged in whatever it is you're having to manage or navigate. So things aren't perfect, but maybe you start to see the way forward. You see a path to resolution or agreement, or you just have an experience or a moment that helps make whatever you're having to bear just that much easier to hold. Venus trine Jupiter also looks generally sweet and enjoyable in terms of things like togetherness and affection. And there's a sort of a friendly, maybe slightly romantic quality here as well. The Venus trine Jupiter aspect does encourage collaboration and connection, and it can even help support agreements, finding compromise or common ground, or helping bring, people and together, that idea of we've got this shared sense of a vision, or we've got a common goal, and we're going to somehow collaborate or work together towards that end that we're both interested in. So that's the Venus trine Jupiter aspect, Sunday, October 22nd. The next two trine aspects involve Saturn in Pisces. And these two trine aspects, because they've got Saturn themes, they really focus on long-term planning. So whenever we get Saturn involved, there is this sense of wanting to think more about stability and security. Sometimes we're focused on matters of protection and preservation. We're really trying to shore up some of those important foundational areas in our lives. Sometimes it helps us focus on a work or a financial matter. Maybe we're called to really sort of add that doing the work quality to a friendship or a relationship or a family situation. The idea with Saturn involved is this sense of clarifying who or what is really important to you, and then reorganizing your time and your energy and your output so that they or that thing gets prioritized. As if you're asking yourself, what matters so much to you that you're willing to work to protect it, that you might be willing to go without to keep it safe. And this is really how Saturn aspects can help you clarify your priorities. And Saturn aspects are really good at giving us clues about time management, about what's working, about how we're managing and using our time and energy, and maybe showing us either what's not working or what we could improve in that space. So with this focus on Saturn, or if you like other planets interacting with Saturn, we're really getting a lot of messages from Saturn in Pisces this week. And that might inspire you to restructure your day, your week, or your month, to reorganize your time so that you're giving more of your best self to the people or the priorities that really matter. And with that focus on Saturn, of course, we also get an emphasis on things like boundaries, or figuring out how to say no to requests that might be distracting you from these things that you've clarified are really a priority for you. So with a couple of Saturn aspects in the mix this week, it's going to be a little bit important that we are sort of doing that walking your talk, that we're following through with actions that support the things that we say are important to us. So the first trine involving Saturn in Pisces is also on Sunday, the 22nd of October. And this trine aspect is from Mercury in Scorpio to Saturn in Pisces. So it's a Mercury trine Saturn aspect. Now, because we've got Mercury involved here, so it's Mercury and Saturn, so we may have a lot of talking about feelings. We might be processing and integrating emotions. We might be kind of working through stuff from the past, but we're also really getting a sense of some of the ideas and the interests that are really important. Mercury Saturn is things that are substantial, topics, agreements, plans that are kind of weighty and dense and structural, or really important to the foundation, to our life having support. Mercury Saturn, because it's a trine aspect, so it's that helpful, productive combination of Mercury and Saturn. This is like a really productive Mercury influence, and that can be great for sorting out logistical and scheduling matters. Mercury and Saturn together by trine is a wonderful aspect for making agreements, signing documents, booking or scheduling anything, and for finalizing any formal or legal contracts. So if you have to sign some paperwork that's official or kind of required for some sort of, legal or formal thing, Mercury trine Saturn is a great aspect for doing that. Because Mercury trine Saturn is happening across water signs, this is an interesting aspect that has that sort of earthy, practical piece of Saturn, but also that emotional, how do I feel about it, quality of Mercury and Saturn being in sensitive water signs. And so as a result of that, you might be sort of balancing your felt response, your emotions about a situation, with the need to take any practical steps on a set timeline. Mercury trine Saturn is about meeting deadlines. It's about hitting your targets. It's about being really clear so that you only commit to what you can follow through on. So Mercury trine Saturn is very diligent. It's very intentional. It's very deliberate. It's choosing after careful thought and research, then making an agreement, a promise, or a commitment, and it is holding or honoring that commitment for the long term over time. So you can see how Mercury trine Saturn is a little bit like, whatever we agree to or promise on under this aspect, it's as if it's written in stone, and we're going to hold ourselves to it, but we're also going to be held accountable to the agreements or plans or promises we make with Mercury trine Saturn. I love to see a great constructive Mercury aspect. We hear so much in astrology about tricky Mercury influences, like Mercury retrograde, for instance. And this is the opposite of that. This is clear, grounded, practical. It's reliable. If something is said, it can be trusted to be true and to be followed through on. So that is Mercury trine Saturn. So an agreement or decision you make under Mercury trine Saturn is likely to last because it has that solid and that binding Saturnian quality to it. The second aspect involving Saturn, which is the third of our three trines, that comes on Tuesday, the 24th of October. We've now got the Sun in early Scorpio, trine Saturn still in early Pisces. Now, a Sun trine Saturn aspect is a different kind of kettle of fish, so to speak. It feels different. And a Sun trine Saturn aspect can call your attention to matters of identity to help you connect with the heart or the essence or the core of who you are. With the Sun trine Saturn, you might come to understand something new about yourself, or you might get some clarity about something that is really essential to the essence of your being. The Sun has this sort of central role. It plays that role in the solar system, and it plays that role in our astrological birth chart. And so with the Sun trine Saturn, it might be that you get really clear on something or someone that is central to your life, that you want to put in the middle and you want to work around. And I really do love a Sun trine Saturn aspect for bringing clarity and for bringing this kind of really grounded awareness. The Sun is a planet that is, in ancient astrology at least, about wisdom and about divine knowledge. And Saturn has this kind of very real, factual, very specific kind of this is the way it is quality. And so with the Sun trine Saturn, we really get a sense of actually the way things are. Sometimes we don't love that, but this is a more constructive Sun Saturn aspect. So it might be, oh yeah, this is how I thought it was, and now I have the proof or the evidence to back it up, but it is the way I've expected. And now that we have that clear understanding between ourselves or between you and a group or an organization, we can then go forward with a little bit more of a sense of safety or trust because we really see the essence of each other. So with this Sun trine Saturn aspect, There's also a desire for solidness and stability. A great Saturn aspect is stabilizing. It creates a calm, kind of enduring stillness. And, as humans, our nervous system, our psychological state, we are really comforted by knowing that there is going to be some consistency or steadiness. And so Sun trine Saturn is that moment on Tuesday, the 24th of October, of connecting with whether it's a routine or a ritual, whether it's a person, whether it's an idea, whether it's an opportunity that is going to bring in some of that stability that is perhaps going to be calming and grounding and anchoring. It's going to bring a solidness that you can rely on. The other thing about a Sun trine Saturn aspect is it also helps us really acknowledge how or where taking responsibility for something may be necessary. With Sun trine Saturn, we are held to account for ourselves and for our choices. And because it's that sort of more supportive or functional, constructive Sun Saturn combination, there's a sense of recognition around, if I take responsibility, if I act with that sense of responsibility, I'm going to create more clarity, but I'm also going to create more certainty for myself and for others. So it's not to say that everything is on us, but, in that sense of, no, this piece is for me to manage, or I own my contribution in this side of the equation, or this part is on me and I will follow through as I've said I will. Or it may be that you are making amends for something that you perhaps was your responsibility and you didn't deliver on. Because it's a Sun trine Saturn aspect, it's more likely that we've got that positive connection or experience with taking responsibility. The recognition that being responsible for certain things can actually be really empowering, really clarifying, and it can really help take out a lot of that indecision. So that's a few of the key themes and topics that you can explore over this few-day period based on the different trine aspects that are forming. The Venus trine Jupiter, the Mercury trine Saturn, and then the Sun trine Saturn aspect. So, we don't always get lots of trines, but to have 3 forming over a 3-day period, it feels like a very constructive, productive, collaborative few days, which is lovely to have after some of the more intense and shadowy and confusing and unsettling astrology that we've been going through. So if we consider these trines, sort of take that bird's eye view, this few-day period kind of contributes to this energetic quality or this mood that really feels like being able to find resolution or being able to connect and align with like-minded individuals. And there's also the potential for finding common ground or agreeing on how to move forward, whether that's with a romantic partner, a family member, a friend, a colleague. Maybe it's about your health and wellness plans and goals. But that idea of pieces falling into place and you being able to move forward as a result of that. And of course, there is that potential for sharing a sweet moment or having an important memory or an experience with someone special. Now, we are in that time between eclipses, that what I call the eclipse tunnel, where we've just had an eclipse, a week ago, and we've got another eclipse coming up next week. So there is that sort of weird eclipsy vibe in the background. But nonetheless, I do hope that these trine aspects bring perhaps a little bit of lightness to you or help you connect with that sense of connection, collaboration, and agreement so that you can really set your focus on the future. And to go back to the little promo at the start of today's show, if you are curious about life, about meaning, and about purpose, or you're interested in finding out how to live a more divinely inspired life, I hope to see you in astrology class this November. Pop over to kellysastrology.com to sign up for the special bundle rate. Thanks so much for joining me this week for another show, team. I will be back with more next week. We will be talking about the lunar eclipse in Taurus, so more to come. Until then, everyone, take care.